Hey everyone, welcome to Prepare to Go There, a self-leadership podcast to help you lead yourself and stay focused on your future. My name is Peter Burchfield. I'm the host of this podcast and also the creator of the Pioneer the Year course. And I'm so excited that we get to spend just a few minutes each week to pioneer the year together. You know, it can be challenging to stay focused. And I'm not just talking about for a 30-minute or 90-minute work session. I'm talking about your long haul, your life's work. And so many things can take us away from that future focus. And so this is going to add fuel to your future focus, helping you keep your eyes on the prize and keep leading yourself with competence and confidence. I'm so excited because I've got a great friend and a great leader that's going to be joining our conversation. His name is Chris Sanchez. He's the founder of the Practical Church, and he offers really elite level leadership coaching to both leaders and their teams. And I love his approach. It's really an inside out approach. He starts with the individual, and then there's a relational ripple effect that goes into the entire organization. And that's really similar to the journey we've been on, learning how to lead ourselves and then lead others and then lead through others. And so I'm just going to bring him on. Let us know where you're watching from and get ready to have questions, because after our content, which is all about communication, we're going to be answering whatever questions come up with the remainder of our time. So let me bring him on. Hey, Chris, welcome, brother. Let me unmute you. How you doing?
Good, man. It is a pleasure to be here with you, man. You're one of my closest friends, and so the honor is mine, really. I'm excited just to learn from you today and to hear more of your heart. And so, man, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I think, 2 years ago, we all decided pretty quickly we needed to simplify our lives. We needed to diversify our work, and we needed to fortify our relationships. And I'm just excited about this conversation because leaders are always trying to communicate better. I mean, we can't get anything done without good communication. And so that's going to be our topic. But before that, I'd love for you just to kind of introduce yourself to this leadership community. tell everybody like what you've been working on or what you're excited about, and we'd love to get behind it however we can.
Yeah, thanks, man, again for the opportunity. Again, my name is Chris, and yeah, I founded the Practical Church really out of, I would say, just a passion, right, of just helping leaders, first helping myself. I think sometimes we can get focused on helping others, but it's kind of like, when you're sitting in the airplane and they're like, hey, assist yourself before you start giving masks. And it's kind of really hard because I would imagine if you're in it, and I know like for me, I have 2 daughters. If we were crashing down, I would be really tempted to want to give them a mask, right? I want to be a good dad. I want to be the dad of the year. But as leaders, we sometimes do that. And so the Practical Church was birthed, and kind of a little aside of that, I'm married to my amazing best friend, Abby, and she is a real estate rock star. And I learned from her. I always say it, she's my coach. And she's so cool. I have 2 daughters, Adelie and Emma, and they're just fireballs. Adelie is she's my twin. And then Emma is my redheaded, left-handed fireball. And we believe that Emma got her red hair from my wife eating salsa a lot. And so that's my little crew, man. And it comes down to everything that I do. Becoming a better leader, becoming a better person is for them. It's leaving a legacy at home, because that legacy will continue to grow. I can't just buy a bag of seeds and then just put it on a shelf. I got to plant it. I got to water. I got to nurture it. And so the more I do that here, the more it's going to trickle down to my family. And because home life is good, because health is good, RPMs, and if we get into that, is good, then man, the workplace is amazing, right? Results and producing and all these other things will just naturally follow. And so what I'm working on currently is been diving into something called 5 Voices. It's with Giant, and it's really just helping leaders know their voice, learn their voice, and ultimately, really, it's something called the communication code. It's knowing how to communicate and being proactive in a communication style that will help you win. And so really, in other words, it's removing roadblocks so that you can start your race and not have to jump hurdles, but you can get to that finish line a lot quicker, faster, and at the end of it, enjoy it.
Amazing. I'm grateful to have this friendship with you now going over a decade, and just to see you make these shifts in your leadership have been really inspiring. And I mean, it only takes about 5 minutes to hang out with Chris and feel encouraged and empowered. And what I love is it's not just words, it's not just abstract, emotional encouragement, but it's real practical empowerment. And that's what we need. That's why we're on. That's why we're carving out the time, is to figure out, okay, practically, how can I better communicate? And I've kind of found a 2-sided coin when it comes to finding my voice. One, you've got just the clutter on the outside, and there's so much noise and there's so much messaging, and we're hearing so many different kinds of advice about how to penetrate into a new sphere, or kind of break into a new market. And we're learning marketing stuff, we're learning copywriting stuff, we're learning team management stuff, and that is a full-time job in and of itself, just trying to navigate how do we actually work through all of that clutter. But there's even the other side of that coin, which is really challenging, is finding your own authentic voice and working through the complexity inside yourself to say, okay, what do I value? And, what's my vision, my mission, my purpose, and how do I get in alignment? And so you've really found a framework that can help us pioneer from the inside out, to get really clear on the inside about what kind of leader you want to be, and then, connect that or translate that to the specific people that we're trying to encourage, lead, serve, whatever. And so I kind of wanted to get into this conversation just by setting up the big idea. I've been on a series working on this idea of pioneering leadership, and I'm so grateful for all the emphasis of leadership, visionary leadership, organizational leadership, servant leadership. Man, I'm so grateful when that came through. Yeah. But then we learned about self-leadership, and that was super empowering for a lot of people that felt trapped or kind of stuck where they were. And now I feel like the emphasis or the spotlight in the leadership space is on pioneering leadership. We need pioneering leaders right now because, honestly, we've never been here before. And we're not just coming out of a 2-year disruptive time. We're coming through this future frontier that is wild and wonderful and, still getting worked out. So I kind of define pioneering leadership as this ability to navigate and create the future of what you do at the same time. And figuring out how do you navigate what's going on the outside, and then how do you create what's in your heart and kind of bring that into the world. That's easier said than done, and probably why more is being said than done. And so I'm grateful that we've got some amazing coaches like you and your team and really the whole giant network that are working with pioneering leaders that honestly just feel imposter syndrome right now. And then y'all actually see what's valuable and you pull it out of them and say, no, this is really good, and let's journey with you. And so I've been trying to communicate to people that you are a modern day pioneer, that you can be a pioneering leader. And, I don't know if people use the word pioneer in their normal language in any given year. So I'm trying to introduce even the language around what a pioneering leader is. And that's why I created the course, Pioneer of the Year, and to go along with it, the quiz, finding out your pioneering leadership archetype. And so I just wanted to start with some fun, if that's okay, and go into your quiz results, because Chris, you took the Pioneer Archetype quiz, and I'm just very interested to see what your results were, and maybe we can talk around it and then get into this stuff about communication. So what is your pioneering archetype?
Yeah, man, homesteader. And by the way, just a plug for you. You talked about encouraging. This is gold. So anyone that is watching out there, he's not paying me to say this, but as I was going through this test and just answering these questions, number one, you have to do it very honestly. But I fell in love with the process. I fell in love with the questions, and I loved how you worded them. And really what it did, it just challenged me to ask questions that I feel like somebody else would be asking me, that I'm trying to get their results. Like what do they see, right? How do they see me? How do I see myself? And so it was really, really cool. And then once I read the, I always love it when there's, right, because there's millions of assessments, there's millions of tests, and some are just weird, and some you have to be a rocket science to take. But this one was so simple, and I felt like it was just super accurate. And so whenever I got the results back, man, I was just blown away. And so homesteader makes sense as to who I am, what my circumstances, where I'm at currently in life. And so, man, I was impressed with it. So if you haven't taken it, take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, do it now. I know he just dropped the link. There it is right there. But get on it. Take it. If you're married and you want your marriage better, take it. If you haven't, staff, listen, take it. Knowing is half the battle, right? And so,
yes.
So there you go.
Thank you so much, man. We're going to talk about homesteader and just kind of introduce all of the ones. Sarah Joy's saying she didn't expect homesteader. That's so cool. Sarah Joy and I actually created this quiz together. And so this is, 10X'd, and there are 4 different kinds of pioneering archetypes, different approaches in pioneering leadership. You've got the explorer, you've got the pathfinder, the homesteader, and the trailblazer. and they each have a contribution. They each bring something to the team. And it is about starting with your own pioneering archetype and figuring out how you approach the future and how you think about teamwork and leadership and life planning. And it's going to really put it all in the pioneering metaphor, hopefully, so you can visualize. You imagine, okay, I'm hiking, I'm out here in the wilderness, I've never been here before. How am I going to lead? How am I going to succeed? And then it's going to lead you into the team territories. And that's where you begin to see the strengths and the contributions of the other pioneering archetypes. And you realize how pioneering people are different than other iterations of leaders because they are rugged risk takers, and they operate on a relational operating system. And that's something we haven't seen before, where they're not motivated by just selfless ambition, but they really do have a selfless submission to serve the mission, to serve other people. And so let's talk about homesteader, because homesteaders are rare, they're valuable, they're super needed. Basically, I don't want to give away the whole review, because when you take the test and go through the quiz, you'll actually see a full coaching session kind of written in, and it'll give you a full summary of your pioneering archetype, and then it'll give you an action plan that you can go to work on even before you learn about the course and all the other things. So basically, the homesteader has a relational edge in their leadership approach, and they actually project stability in times of uncertainty. They are able to transform the environment that they live in and create abundance and create stability. And they actually draw people into that project of transforming the front line into a homestead. And they believe that, hey, this is worth working on, this season we're in, this phase of life we're in, but even this community or this company, it's worth digging our heels in and making things work. And so a homesteader is a very valuable pioneering leader. They can take the point person leadership role, but they can also serve really well in collaboration with other people. And so I'm just excited to encourage people and add this language into our leadership vocabulary that you can pioneer this year. You can make it unlike any other year. And in fact, other people are depending on you to really go for it this year. And a lot of times we've got something we're feeling in our heart, but we don't know how to communicate it. And that's where Chris is going to come to the rescue, and he's going to explain why communication is so important for our leadership, and then kind of give us this framework, the 5 voices of communication. So, Chris, I'll just pass it over to you, man. Kind of lead us in. Why do you think pioneering leaders are being emphasized right now? What are you learning about this kind of new breed of leadership? And then just take it away into the 5 voices.
Yeah, man. I truly believe this pandemic, if anything, it put, I would just say, this next 10 years, 20 years under a microscope and kind of just put fuel on it, to where young leaders, young pioneering leaders, older leaders, right, mature leaders, we're all saying, man, there's something more, right? We've read all the books, we've done all this stuff, but we're still just wondering what's next. There's got to be something bigger. I love what you said earlier. You said, what's the leader that you want to be? Well, pioneering leader goes one more step further. It's not really asking what is the leader that I want to be, but adding to this and saying, am I a leader worth following?
Yes.
And so it makes it so. In other words, how many of y'all, you can comment or whatever, just think about it personally, have worked at a job and you were under a leader that you had to be under? right? Now, just because they got the title, they got that level leader, maybe they put work into it, but man, at the end of the day, they stink and they're not leading anybody but themselves. And so you're following them because it's obligated rather than, is there a group of people, maybe your circle or the people around you, that are following you because they want to? There's maybe been an invitation challenge to where you've invited them in to, like, what I love what you do with the masterminds and these coaching sessions. But instead of like, oh, I'm obligated, I got to be there. No, it's, man, we're doing life together, right? If you want to grow something, you don't grow it in the masses, you grow it in circles. And so with that, it's, am I the leader that is worth following? Do people want to follow me? And then it's following up with that next question. And this is where I think the next step of pioneering comes in and says, okay, now I got to be an intuitive and I have to ask questions like this that are hard. What is it like being on the other side of me? Now, ask your wife that, or the person closest to you. Maybe it's an executive or a team member that does life with you, and ask them that question. See what they say. You're probably going to hate it. You might love it. You might be able to go back and say, man, what am I? What kind of awareness? And so really for me, a pioneering leader is a self-aware leader. Yes. That is asking, right, what is it like being on the other side of me on a good day, on a bad day, when sales are up or when sales are down, or when team morale is up or when team morale is down? What is it like? Am I the disconnected leader? Am I the all-in leader? Am I the results-driven leader? Or am I the relational leader? Right? The list could go on. And so really what it comes down to when you add this communication tool, that's really what it is. And these 5 voices, which we'll kind of jump into it, is we first have to learn what type of leader are we? And so that's why I love in these archetypes, you're helping leaders identify what type of pioneering leader they are. And so a journey that I've also been on, it's called the 5 voices. And I really won't go too crazy deep into it, because just like the archetypes, there's more meat to it, right? This isn't a competitive bone. This is a tool. So think about it. In your leadership journey, you're Batman. What's on your belt, right? Am I just going to walk around in a tight suit, run around trying to save the world and have no tools? Absolutely not, right? You're going to go in there with your whatever you have. And so this is just another tool. Having your archetypes, right? Mine's Homesteader. What that did is it really catapulted into my tool. And so that's where we come with the 5 voices, which is a really cool organization called Giant .tv. And really what they've kind of come into and just said, we want to know your voice and how you're communicating without even knowing it, whether it's you're knowing it or you're not, whether you're comprehending it or not. And so within these 5 voices, it puts you in a category. And so good. So you have your nurturer, which is 43% of the population. It's very quiet. And these are champions of people. So I'm just going to give you my results, and then you can kind of just say, okay, that makes sense. So my result was a nurturer creative. And so a nurturer is a champion of people. Makes total sense why I'm a homesteader, right? Yeah. I don't want to be the number one, and I don't care to be the number one, but I can be the number one. And so really what a nurturer is they can feel the emotion in the room. Your nurturers kind of they're kind of that radar, and they know when a storm's coming, and they know when morale's down. So you want a nurturer on your team, because they're gonna be that emotional connection that maybe in this context a pioneer wouldn't have. And I'll kind of go into that in a little bit. Super good. Then you have your creative. Now don't think like an artist drawing a picture or singing a song. This is someone that is thinking futuristically, right? They're the champion of future ideas, innovation, and really in organizational integrity. And so in other words, a creative would be that person that's often sometimes quiet in those staff meetings, and you pitch an idea. 6 months down the road, it doesn't work. Well, the creative in their thought process, they're saying, well, told you so, but you never asked.
Yeah.
So a nurture creative put together, whenever I was talking with a mentor, he said, it makes perfect sense why you coach staff health, why you coach very relationally. Nurture creatives do that. I'm going to champion you, but I'm also going to listen to your ideas and tell you if they work, because I can see down the line. I can see futuristically. And then you have your guardians, which guardians are the champions of due diligence, which means they were steward your money. They love resources and they're efficient systems and processes. These are the individuals on your teams that are very just black and white. They love to protect vision. They love to protect culture, but they also may not have a soft approach. You might say, hey, we have this budget. Could we get this approved? No. That's where they live at. And you might come across offended. Well, tell me why. Or they might, right, they might be very direct people. So my wife, being a realtor, she's a guardian. And so when we go into communication code, I'm going to tell you why this is important, why these voices, why being a homesteader and some of these archetypes make sense, because every single one of these voices communicate different, and they also transmit different. So they give and they receive totally different. And then you have the connector. Connectors, it is what it is. They connect people, they connect ideas, they connect vision. You'll know you're a connector, or if you're meeting with a connector, is if you have coffee with someone and you're masterminding, you're having a session, and this individual's like, hey, I know who I need to get into this process. Or, hey, let me connect you with this person. Or it could be even your neighbor that you're looking to get some lawn service, but hey, I know the guy, or I know the lawn company. They're just naturally connectors. They connect pieces. And so when you have a connector on your team, they connect the dots and they help connect people to where they need to go. And so connectors are very valuable. And then you have your pioneers, right? We love that word. Pioneers are champions of strategic visions, results, focus, and problem solving. These individuals make it work. What I love about pioneers in this context is you never have to guess what they're thinking, what they're feeling, because it's all out on the table. And so the reason why the communication code, which we're going to get in a second, is so important is because the pioneers have such a strong voice. And so if you see kind of in the levels, this one is peaking out. It has a decibel warning. And as a musician myself, you know it's a decibel warning because the speakers start cracking and things just can get really distorted. And so imagine a pioneer meeting with a nurturer who has a very, very quiet voice. A pioneer can come off very just assertive and confident, right? And then at the end of the meeting, that was a great meeting. The nurturer didn't say anything. And the team might be struggling, or the team health might be declining. Everybody's working 80 hours a week, or 80 hours a day, I'm sorry, and just crushing it because the pioneer's like, let's go, we got to get things done. I'm moving on to the next project, the next task. And the health of the team is falling short. And so what happens is in your organization, it's not saying that you have to have all of these, but if you can identify each and every one and try to put them into their place, then what you're going to do is you're going to really, just like a masterpiece, you're going to put all the right colors together and you're going to create something beautiful. And so how should a staff meeting go if you're looking at this order? Pioneer gets everybody together. The connector is talking and doing their thing. Meeting starts. Hey, nurture, right? Hey, Tim. Hey, man, you know, we're kind of going through this next project. What is the heartbeat of the team right now? And just let them go. Let them open it up, and then you just kind of move along the meeting. There'll be more getting done. Instead of the pioneer firing somebody, let's just say there needs to be some shifts. Don't do it. Give it to a nurturer. Give it to a guardian, someone that is there, that is going to make sure that your vision is being consistent. And so how does all this make sense into pioneering? really what it comes down to, as Peter said it so beautifully, is health, is staff health, is leadership health, and knowing a little bit more of who you are and how you lead, and even the bigger picture and how the people around you lead is going to help you in the long game, right? You can't be in a NASCAR and the car comes to a pit and everybody's doing the same job, right? You can't have 5 people on one tire. There's got to be someone on the other tire. There's got to be someone refueling and doing all the essential checks. And so think about that. You're in this NASCAR, this thing that is constantly going around. And when it comes in, because we all need rest, that power in the pit, there's pit stops that we have to take. That's where these people come into your life, to where we want to move the ball down the field. And so what I want to do is kind of jump into the communication code. And this is going to make total sense. So again, you have your guardians, right? You have your creatives and your nurturers. So as a nurturer creative myself, collaboration is super important. But for many years, there was a season to where I was working for a strong pioneer connector, super loud voice, somebody that is charting the way and is doing some amazing things. And so every time we would get into a meeting, I would have this top-notch idea, right? I worked this hours and hours because the pioneer in our last meeting said, hey, I want something awesome. No details, no expectations, just I want awesome. So I come in working 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 hours on this one project, right? Because I value collaboration. I'm going in there, have not communicated that, hey, I want to collaborate or clarify. And I'll go into one of those in a second. But because pioneers are natural critiquers, I go in there with high hopes and so excited. And instead of hearing collaboration or clarity, I hear critique. Nope, that doesn't work. I don't like that idea. Hey, I want you to rewrite that. He doesn't know I gave up kid time. He doesn't know I gave up date nights. He doesn't know all this stuff. And he just thinks that doesn't work. Fix it. Meeting's done. So let's kind of go down the communication code. So, right, there's transmitting and there's receiving. It's how we're communicating it, and it's how it's being received. Just because you communicate and receive something one way doesn't mean that. Just try having a disagreement with your spouse. You'll quickly learn it's going to be heard way different. Or whenever you text someone and they read it totally different. I'm offended. Why? Because we don't truly understand what that conversation is. And so when we're thinking of the communication code, it's very simple. It's the invitation. It's the invitation. So you have your critique. The invitation is critique my work, right? Ask difficult questions. Do your due diligence. Tell me why it won't work. So I'm coming to you, Peter. Hey, Peter, man, I've had this awesome idea, this plan, but man, I just need you to put, in today's terms, I need you to put some sauce on it. Or maybe I need you to put the hammer on it, or you can just be very vague, like very upfront. Can you critique something I've been working on pretty hard? Now you know, and now I know, so I'm not going to leave the meeting upset, because I've invited you and I've done you the justice of saying, hey, I want you to critique something I've worked very hard on.
Wow.
But there's the collaboration, right? The invitation is shape this with me. Share your wisdom, build on it together, help me get the best outcome. You know, currently what I'm doing with Practical Church, I'm working with an individual. Their systems are broken. And I just very briefly, I said, hey, let's set aside 2 hours and let's collaborate. Let's collaborate together. So I'm not going to come in there trying to whip the horse or vice versa. We're knowing that, hey, we're going to come in and we're going to collaborate. Then you have your clarify, right? That's the invitation, is check that you understand. Asking great questions, have patience, as I explained, confirm what you've heard. Now, this is huge for somebody like a nurturer or creative that maybe has a little bit of a struggle of really getting their idea out of their mouth. I don't know if you've ever had the meeting with someone and it's just like, what did they just say? Like it took them an hour and they could have really said that in like 2 minutes. But maybe because of how their thought process is, and maybe it's messy up here and all that kinds of stuff, maybe they're living in the weeds, it's taken them a little bit more time to get that information out. Well, if I'm coming in there to collaborate, I'm going to leave very frustrated because nothing is being collaborated because this individual is taking up the entire meeting to try to gather their thoughts, which it happens. Or I can't start critiquing because I'm going to instantly shut them down and nothing gets done. So if I go in there with an invitation, hey, I just want to clarify your thoughts. Or maybe if they've been invited into this challenge and say, hey, I just need time to I just need to talk. And at the end of it, then we can invite a collaboration or a critique to where now we're just listening. And we're hoping that along the way we can connect the dots. Mm-hmm. And then there's the care, right? There's the create a safe space. Be present and listen. Don't try to solve me. Don't judge me.
Yes.
Now this one,
come on.
I have to practice with my wife. And so this one is what it is. Sometimes we don't need somebody to come at us and to clarify, to collaborate, critique, or celebrate. Sometimes we just need somebody to listen. And in a corporate world, this sometimes it's not even invited at all because we got deadlines and we have projects and we have things to do, we have moments to do. But if there was a leader, a self-aware leader, a pioneering leader that said, okay, we've done this communication code. There's an A player on our team, but man, they have been just missing it here, right? We're talking about the health, missing it here. What their sales are down, their production is down. Sometimes in a fast-paced world, we're just like, well, let's just get rid of them. Let's move them to a different seat of the bus. Let's fire them. And we missed it. Mm-hmm. Maybe all they need is 30 minutes. Just talk. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to critique. I'm not going to clarify. I'm not going to collaborate. I'm just going to listen. And we might realize maybe once we take back the covers, maybe why they're not producing, maybe they're ill, maybe they're kids, maybe it's a wife thing, and maybe it's a mental health thing. And so then we can really understand, okay, now we know how to approach this thing with better strategy. And then there's the celebrate. That one's super easy. Celebrate success with me. Enjoy the moment. Recognize what's been achieved. Don't rush on too fast. I love this one because sometimes this one really gets, I would say, fuzzy. Is because somebody might come in super excited. This actually happened with my business partner. I was just really, really excited. My business partner is a guardian. And guardians, black and white, they're very analytic people. I just want the facts, and I just want to sit in front of my spreadsheets and just get things done. And so I went in there because I had worked on a project. We just came over some milestones with a leader that just finally just got it. And I was excited. Man, listen, this person did this, they did that, they did that, they did that. And immediately my business partner, okay, well, what do we got to do next? Hey, they come, just celebrate with me.
Come on.
Right? And so I don't need you to start critiquing and collaborating. Like, we just celebrated because this individual had a milestone. And so what was really cool, now that we look back at that and we now know the communication code, we joke about it because in turn, hey, there should have been a celebration. Man, we should have said, hey, that's really, really cool. And then take another day to say, okay, now let's start to collaborate and look at different those things. And so when you're looking at the big picture and you're looking at the nurturers and the creatives and the guardians and the connectors and the pioneers, they all communicate different. And so sometimes in a staff culture, we feel very disconnected. We feel like we're just on this merry-go-round and nothing's getting done. And the pioneer is like, why would they even do this? Well, because they heard you say something different. And so sometimes the production level is stunted because communication is horrible. But imagine a staff culture to where everybody has been invited in on what I would call this codified language. Now
Yeah.
you're slacking someone, or you're sending a quick text. Hey, let's have a quick stand-up meeting and let's just clarify some things. Boom. Now both people know what this meeting's going to be, rather than just walking into some random office not knowing what we're going to do or how we're going to get it accomplished, but now knowing, hey, I just need a moment to just be cared for, or hey,
Yeah.
can we celebrate, or hey, man, I have this really cool idea, can we just collaborate for a minute? Or man, I'm at the just this wall, and I just need some structure on. Can you critique it? And so when you're looking at all these things in the communication code and the voices and the pioneering archetypes, again, all of these are tools that are going to help you get to that next level of leadership. But the biggest thing is, while you're doing it, you're healthy.
Yeah.
You're at a peace of mind. I remember we were talking to a leader, and this leader, man, we had worked super hard. We'd gone through all this stuff, and we rolled out this masterpiece of a playbook. I mean, literally, it was turnkey. The organization's going to grow and thrive day one. I mean, it was awesome. And so as we're pitching this idea, and the individual's eyes just got big, and you could almost see their face getting pale. And it just kind of took me by. And I remember talking to a business partner. I was like, man, that was really awkward. Like, he wasn't excited. And so I had actually flown out and spent the day with him, and I brought it up. I just said, hey, man, we worked on this awesome strategy and playbook, and what's going on? Why did I give it? And he just quickly said it. He said, man, can I just be honest with you? And there was just a moment to where it just hit me so hard. He said, my marriage is on the rocks. I've been having panic attacks lately. My oldest son just got admitted into a home, and although this playbook and this everything is awesome, all I'm thinking about is building when I have nothing to build with, or no energy to build. It would be like both legs broken, and your wife's looking at me and say, hey, I need you to go mow. It's impossible. And so at that very moment, I was just like, oh my gosh. In this context, a good system is going to kill an unhealthy leader.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we have to focus on getting him healthy so that he can handle the workload, because a good system is going to require you to work. It's going to require you to build. It's going to require you to clarify, to critique, to collab, to care, and to champion, and all these things. But if we're at a place of just deficit, and our mental health is shot, and home life is shot, we're not going to be able to produce. We're going to find ourselves being burnt out, and then living in what I call the 70-30, is that we spend 70% of our time on something that we don't care about, we're not passionate about, and that's going to result in burnout and us doing something crazy, rather than how can I get myself healthy. And now I'm living in the 70% of what I love to do, because I'm thinking futuristically. My calendar is awesome. My pioneering is on point. My teams are healthy. My marriage is healthy. I'm healthy, right? And so now my results will be a byproduct of everything that I just talked about. And so you want results, you got to have this in order. You can't go where you're not currently.
Yeah. So good. Thank you, Chris. This
Yeah,
is
man.
super clear, very helpful. And I want to just go back through these two frameworks and just help people try, apply, multiply them in their own context. This is well crafted with healthy team cultures in mind. And I think I'm going to just go back to the first one, the 5 voices.
Yeah.
It is so good, man. And I think the gift that this tool is going to give leaders is authenticity. Because when you're operating out of your authenticity, you're going to have more authority to be in that space, to lead well, to, lead out of your experience and your expertise and not out of assumption and out of obligation.
Yeah.
And so I love how you've, developed this. And so many times we're in team meetings and we don't say it out loud, but it's definitely loud in our head.
Yeah.
And we say, why am I here? Why am I in this meeting? Why am I on this team? Like, they're just going along without me, or I'm trying to bring great value and I don't feel like it's being received, or I feel like we've been doing the same thing, or maybe we're just in a holding pattern. Why am I here? And this tool is going to help you identify an authentic voice that you're going to begin to speak clearly and sincerely from. And so, Chris, let me just ask for, just for people that are ready to get in on this, this was a tool created by the Giant Coaching Network. Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong. And this is a tool that you can use with leaders that are getting help through the Practical Church. And you're going to be helping them identify their authentic leadership voice. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's absolutely right. And so, even going back to the nurture creative in me, that is a quiet voice. And so with the upsides to all of these, really where it really becomes super helpful is knowing the downsides to them too. Mm-hmm. Well, nurturers, we just don't value our voice, but in reality, nurturers have the most important voice. And so whenever you can work through some of these items, then you start living in this confidence of who you are, who God created you to be. And really life becomes more of I'm now included into a circle or a community of people rather than I'm feeling alone and living alone with my inner narrator. And so yes, 5 voices is a tool that I love walking leaders through, because really what it is it challenges them to really, again, to see their value and to be confident in who God created them to be, their voice, their natural voice. Listen, nurture is not a bad thing. Pioneer is not a bad thing. We all live in these voices, and that's the thing. We all operate in these at different levels. And what happens is, as we become mature leaders, these become assets rather than liabilities. Yeah. Right? Let's just say you're a mature leader and you hired a very young, immature pioneer. Well, now that you know he's a pioneer, you got to rein him in, because if not, he's going to be very reckless. He's going to go rogue, and there's going to be a lot of just confusion and frustration. He's going to start creating things, and because that's what they do. But if there's someone that is mature that can walk alongside a connector or a pioneer or guardian, a creative, a nurturer, then really something beautiful happens. And it's this: there's harmony, there's moving things forward, right? We then are all on the same page to where we can be rowing the boat together rather than someone doing this and the boat's just going in circles, which I know for me, I've been there, right? Where I'm just going in circles and circles, and I'm asking them, I love how you said that. Why am I even here? What is my purpose? Why am I in this meeting? And listen, when I wasn't aware of a lot of these tools, I would do that. like, and then I just open up my computer and I just start working on different things
Yeah.
in that meeting, right? Rather than how can we be productive and
Yes.
move things forward, right? It's all about, I love how you do the Future Fridays. It's always about how can we think futuristically? How can we move the ball down the field? How can we do it in such a way that at the end of the day, we're still here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're still mentally there. We're producing in such a way that's going to honor everything around us. And if we do it right, it's going to cause an inheritance for our kids, for our coworkers, for our employees, and it's really going to catapult the vision to the next level. Listen, if you want your vision and your culture to thrive, these tools are going to help do that.
Yeah.
And so that's the beautiful part about it.
It's super good. Can you describe what are the percentages that we see? 43 and I guess 9 and 50 and all those
Yes.
percentage numbers?
So, I went back to the nurture again, being probably the most valuable voice of all of them. So when you look at 43, 9, 30, 11, and 7, you're like, what is that? That is nurturers. They're 43% of the population, of Earth's population, are nurturers.
Mm.
So in any organization, we would say 43% of our team, of our customer base, is going to fall in the nurture category. I think it's pretty important to let them share.
Yeah.
So that you have the creatives, which now is only 9%. So then we see, man, they have great ideas, they have great things, but we see the importance of it to where they only relate to a 9%. Now, this doesn't discredit them. What it says is that there's a rare group of creatives. And so in order for us to be able to market them or to reach out to them, we have to be able to involve a creative and learn how they think, learn how they work, how they operate. And then you have the guardians, which is 30%. It's another big number, which means, okay, if we're going to market to a certain group of people, or if we're going to whatever, we have to understand that 30% of that number are people that love systems, that love being diligent with finances. And so if you've ever done financial freedom, why do so many people do it? It's because at some place, people value their finances. People value getting out of the debt. People value being a good steward, right? That's my wife. So if I'm going to take my organization to the next level, I need a guardian. Why? Because they relate to 30% of the people. But most importantly, they're going to make sure we never get in debt. They're going to make sure that our vision is always protected. Then you have the connector. They're 11% of the people. Again, this doesn't discredit them because that's such a low voice. But what it's saying is that there's 11% of people that we can connect with. So we have to have their voice. They're going to be super crucial in connecting this 11% with the nurturers, the creatives, and the guardians, and kind of making everybody webbed together. And then your pioneers, 7%. So it's not many, but they're there. And so pioneers understand pioneers. Pioneers also love to collaborate with pioneers. They are attracted to each other. And so having a pioneer on your team, really what it's going to do, it's going to link you up with a small percentage of people that can help your business or organization, again, thrive because they're networked or they're connected to people or things or finances or whatnot. Good. And so, but with it, again, because it's such a small percentage, pioneers also have to understand that they don't relate to majority of the population. And so their $1 million idea may only matter to them. And so if they want their $1 million idea to really thrive, if they want their church to thrive, then they have to include the nurturer, the creative, the guardian, because there's such a small number of people that actually relate with the pioneer. And so again, if we're all going to speak together and work together and be in a healthy work environment, then we have to realize who's our nurturers on our team, who's our creatives, who are our guardians, who's our connectors, and who are our pioneers. And how can we get them to collaborate together? And I guarantee you, if everyone knew their voice order and everyone knew their strengths, and you went into a meeting, you could get done in 5 minutes and everyone would know why they're there rather than ask that question. What even got accomplished? What happened? Usually what happens is you show up to a meeting and a pioneer dominates the meeting and you walk out more confused than when you walked in, and you're activating something that the pioneer will forget about 3 hours later. And then you put all your work into it and he forgot about that he even activated it. And so again, we go in, we get really strategic in how we're going to be productive, how we're going to plan out our week, how we're going to conquer each task at hand. And so if you want your church to thrive, if you want your organization to thrive, involving others that are different voices, that are different strengths, don't just surround yourself by pioneers. You're going to keep starting stuff and never finishing things.
Yeah, come on.
So you need a guardian right next to you to be like, hey, slow it down. Hey, let's protect this. And instead of a 6-month run, you're 60 years into it and you still love what you do.
Wow. Yes. That's so good, man. And so I encourage you, get a hold of Chris, find this tool. Obviously, we can all get value just by going through this process right now. But if you're ready to take that next step and you know that communication is a big part of your next phase of leadership, make sure that you make yourself available and get access to these tools and with the work that Chris is doing. I love this first tool. It really helps us grow in self-awareness. And as we become more empowered, we actually become more empathetic. So I'm going to learn, if I'm a pioneer, that I need to, EQ myself, and I need to pull it down a little bit so I'm listening more than leading. And then if you're a nurturer, you need to EQ yourself, and you need to raise the volume, and you need to speak up for others, and you need to, be speaking with that value system. And then, by the grace of God, we're going to EQ all of these leaders together, and we're going to have a good mix on our team. And that authenticity is super important, because at first you're learning how just to communicate your own values and your own initiatives. But then you can begin to pick up on the other people, and who is leading with you. And then you can begin to speak into their values, and you can begin to copy paste some of their language into the conversation. So there's a lot more, collaboration there. I'm going to move on to the next one. We've got just a few minutes left. But this has been so good. Thank you. What I really saw here with this one is this is a tool that we can use together. And this is going to help us build alignment on our team. First tool really helping us with authenticity. This one really helping us with alignment. This is something we can do together, so that way we know what context of work, what context of leadership we're in. And the question that comes to mind whenever we're in meetings all the time is, what's going on? Everyone's kind of in a different mode, and they're speaking with a different context, and you can kind of be caught in the fray saying, what is going on? I came ready to clarify. They're trying to celebrate. That person's just being critical, which is them just trying to critique, and we're not really showing up in the same context. And so this is a great way of just kind of letting everybody know up front, hey, this is a collaborative meeting. Hey, we're just here to clarify. Hey, I want to put, all of the titles and all the roles aside. I'm here to care for you. And so this is not, obviously these different voices are probably going to be more familiar and more comfortable in a certain one of these contexts, but this is something the team needs to take on together. The team needs to recognize which context we're in, and then let that voice be the loudest voice that, can speak in that context the most effectively,
Yeah.
and let their strength actually show up in that meeting. This is super, super valuable and very helpful. Thank you so much for sharing this, Chris. Chris, I'm excited about people getting a hold of your work and following you. I know Practical Church is a resource for pastors and teams and helping churches grow from the inside out. Can you just tell anybody else, they want to know about you and the work you're doing, or they want to know about the other tools that Giant offers? I just want to give you just a free kind of pause right here. Just say whatever you want, and then I'll finish with some calls to action.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you again. Man, really. So what the Practical Church is, and what we do and how we partner with Giant and Five Voices is really, it's a work of art. And they have so much going on, a lot of tools, a lot more resources. The assessment they offer, just like yours, it's free. It's at fivevoices.com, or you can just go to practicalchurch.com, email us, and we'll get you connected. But hey, maybe you're not a pastor, right? Maybe you're not a clergy or not a church worker. We also work with individuals that are they're Christian individuals, but they're business owners, right? We're working with somebody that owns, I want to say, I think it's like 8 State Farm agencies. And he just reached out and he just said, I just want to be a leader that's worth following, right? Because there's biblical principles and values. I mean, look at, if I don't want to get too preachy, but if we look at Jesus, he had just a short time to pour into 12 individuals that would later change the world, right? A small window of time, and said, okay, bye, peace, I'm out. And it's still working today. So something was valuable, something worked. And so it's really this art of doing life together and just helping you know that you're not alone. See, the biggest thing for me with the Practical Church, again, why it was birthed, is because I felt alone. I felt that I couldn't reach out to anyone. Maybe someone wouldn't understand. A lot of it was mental health stuff. I mean, the list could go on. And I felt very isolated, like I was in a cave by myself and I didn't know how to get out. But it was by the grace of God that God put people around me, like Peter, like some other strong mentors that just had the guts enough to say, you know what? It's time to get up. It's time to go. And that's what I do, is I coach you. I come right alongside of you. I cry with you. I hug you. We dream together. We journey together, because at the end of the day, for me, it's the heart. Mm-hmm. We can get through processes and systems in another day, but I want to make sure that's what you're going to get with the Practical Church. We're going to make sure you're healthy. For me, one-on-one with you, where it at times it might feel like a counseling session, but that's okay. And so that's what we're doing. Again, thepracticalchurch.com, or you can email me personally. It's chris@thepracticalchurch.com, and I would love to just start that journey with you. Don't do ministry alone. My goal is to prevent you from doing something crazy, and so that you could be the best version of you. And
because most people are doing better than they think. And they have this kind of limiting belief, or they've got this self-sabotage going on, and they can't see it. It's invisible to them because it's just happening, behind all of the browser tabs and all of the text messages and stuff. And you and your team go in and you have these safe, open conversations about the leader's health, and then how that can be translated into the team's health. So that way we can use these tools to go build things that matter, go build mission-minded communities and companies that are making a difference. The tools are so helpful. Sorry, I'll say one more thing and then give it to you. But, the tools are so helpful, but they're just meant to put something in your hands so you take action. They don't define you. They can help describe you, and give you that self-awareness. But ultimately, what Chris and I are talking about is an inside job. And when you go through that transformation internally, personally, then you become unstoppable as a team. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But what I was saying is we're not just focusing on broken leaders. I love what you said. Is we're getting people out of the weeds, and we're taking them up to an aerial view to see what's currently in front of them, and just helping them execute. And so again, you don't have to be broken to reach out. If you are, we love that. But it's getting you out of the weeds. It's helping you see what it's like on the other side of you, and helping you move to where you want to be.
Amazing. Hey, this has been so good. Thank you. I want to finish with a call to action, and that's simply just take the Pioneer Archetype quiz. And this is going to encourage you that you really can get out of that repeat year cycle, and you really can go for an uncommon year. You can go the difference. You can go the distance. You can make a difference. And I want to help you do that. Once you take that quiz, it's going to give you a full coaching plan, an action plan that you can begin with, and then it'll give you information about the course for Pioneer the Year. Chris, I don't know if you've been able to hear the updates, but it's just been amazing. Over 100 hours of free self-leadership coaching on this YouTube channel, and then started a podcast with this content, repurposed content, going out on Spotify and Apple and other places. And now the course, this flagship course, is helping people turn their repeat years into new frontiers, overcoming those self-leadership challenges like clutter and indecision and self-sabotage and apathy, really going on a journey through self-leadership, ending up at team leadership, because we know that we need others to have a great year. And now, offering the coaching. So Chris and I are really just two champions for you to encourage you. And we serve different groups. We serve different contexts and leaders. But I want you to hear that pioneering leaders are collaborative. They are relational. And I am so excited to see the work that Chris and his team are doing. And I encourage you, go get those tools, go get involved, because we need to be holding down an entire front line. It's not just about one, part, it's about covering the whole front line and making sure that we're in alignment. This has been so good, man. We got to bring you back and continue. I know you talk about a lot of different things, helping them out. But for now, we're going to have to call it good and encourage everybody to stay awesome, stay encouraged, put in the work. I'm just seeing if I'm missing anything here. Okay, no, we're good. But stay encouraged, stay awesome, and make sure you have a Future Friday today. You need at least 30 minutes or 60 minutes to keep your future on the front burner, and you'll be glad you did. Chris, I appreciate you, and we're going to roll out.